Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Well, I did
Do
actually.
the thing
That's exactly what I meant to do was interrupt.
you meant to do. Interrupt. Shut the fuck up. I gotta do this.
Welcome everybody to Permaculture Smackdown. Today we are going to talk about rocket ovens and diatomaceous earth. How you doing, Paul?
I am tuckered out. I
Yeah, but
am
I'll bet you're
tuckered out.
pretty fucking happy right about now.
I am amazed at how nice it feels because for several months I've been so stressed out about whether this thing will even get funded.
For those that don't know, Paul Wheaton just put out. God, was he yesterday? He put out a Kickstarter, Rocket Ovens feature length documentary, and it's already fully funded. You did it, man. How
I
long? How
got
long did
it.
it take to get
It was
funded?
funded in 18 hours, which is a record. My previous Kickstarter got funded in 21 hours.
Awesome.
And but I was so worried that this one wouldn't get funded at all. I kind of like I wanted to make sure that the moment it was up that I had so much work in a list to do to tell people about it that I thought in fact there's enough work on the list to keep me busy for 30 days, and I thought I'm just going to keep plugging away at this list and until it's either funded or it's over. But of course I'm going to keep working on this list. but but yay, it's funded.
All right, so
Ooh, ah.
that's always a big relief. Now, of course, the last Kickstarter that was funded in 24 or 48 hours, was it 24 or 48?
It was 21 hours.
21 hours. That
So
you
that
were
was
asking
the
for.
life.
You were asking for a lot more for that one, right?
No, it was about the same.
Oh,
It was
really?
about the same. If you
Awesome.
go up to Kickstarter, look there on the upper left, you can see my happy smiling face. And I think if you click on it, you can see like you know, doesn't it tell you like what I've created? No, it doesn't.
Let's see what Google can find in your. There it is. First result.
Okay, so there it is. What it doesn't say what I was asking for. It tells you how much I actually got. I think I was asking for
$6,800.
$6,000 on that one.
Here it is.
Oh, there it is.
6,000. Yeah.
There you go.
So you were asking for less for
And I
that one.
was I was asking for less, but I even felt even on that one I was kind of like I'm not sure if we can get that much money,
Yeah.
And so then on this one I was kind of like because like in past Kickstarters like I had 3 DVDs or 4 DVDs, and so this time I'm doing a single DVD. So like I would in past Kickstarters I'd do 4 DVDs and it'd be like $100. And this time I'm putting the focus on a single DVD for $15. And I was
Mm.
kind of thinking like, oh no. I mean like it's so much less. And so I don't know. Am I gonna so what a relief.
Was it a? This is
But
a single. I thought it was two DVDs for some reason.
this one's a single DVD.
Oh, okay.
There's
Uh,
2 microdocs that are going to come out with this one. So there's going to be a safety microdoc, and there's going to be a how to cook with a rocket oven microdoc. And Julia will be playing a big role in that. There was a bunch of stuff that Julia cooked while she was here. There's been a lot of people cooking a lot of stuff, but what they do is they keep getting like, oh, here's 15 seconds of video of food coming out of the oven, the end. And it's kind of like, okay, so we got evidence that this was at least one time cooked in a rocket oven. But there's so much we're trying to do to kind of get all the footage for that kind of thing. But I think we've got enough to make a microdoc. But I just had a phone call with Dan a little while ago. He's hoping that Julia will send him a whole lot more video.
so I want to
Um,
talk about what an oven is and why you would want it, a rocket oven. So would you mind if I played the video?
Well,
Would that help?
first, did you know you got something on the upper right side that says Zoom Pro account? Did you want that to show up there? Okay.
Here, I can.
But can you get the audio to come out over the speakers?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Let's try it out.
Is YouTube going to have a conniption?
Well, it's your content, so you would have to complain.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hi, I'm Paul Wheaton, and this is my 7th Kickstarter about permaculture stuff. This Kickstarter is for people that like pizza, cake, cookies, spaghetti-flavored cake, bread, muffins, turkey, pie, or anything baked in an oven. People concerned about the environment are trying to find ways to dramatically reduce their use of electricity or natural gas, and taking a long, hard look at cooking. For folks keen on zero waste, how about turning your yard waste into pizza or cookies? For people living off-grid, it's hard to wander outside and harvest a bit of propane, electricity, or natural gas. Years ago, people were keen on cob ovens. Cob ovens are for outdoor use only, generate a huge amount of smoke, waste wood, and take about 3 hours to warm up. Then came the double chamber cob oven. Much better, but still uses a lot of fuel and takes hours to heat up. In 2014, I hosted a Rocket Mass Heater Innovators event. One guy, Tim Barker, was from Australia, where heat wasn't a big concern. His innovation surrounded using the rocket core for indoor cooking and hot water. The first year he was here, he built a rocket oven, griddle, and hot water heater. Each year he came, he built an improved rocket oven, because that's what folks kept asking for. Tim's rocket oven ran extremely clean, used very little wood, and was fully heated in 15 minutes. We videoed all of the builds. Eventually, another appropriate technology expert came and worked on the rocket oven designs with Tim, Tyler Morrison. Together, they came up with a design that could be built with just a few simple tools and zero welding. Their focus was on something that doesn't require a lot of skill to build, and the materials cost would be kept very low. This mission is to create a DVD about rocket ovens. The first half will show past builds and design decisions. The second half is a detailed how-to for the latest design. The editing is nearly complete. You just need that Kickstarter bump to get the last bits of movie magic and printing covered.
All right.
All right, now it looked jumpy to me. I don't know if it looked jumpy to other people. The sound sounded fine.
You were breaking up a little bit. It could be, or maybe it was my internet. Who knows?
For those of you that can type here, how did it look to you? Did it look jumpy or did it look smooth? All right, go ahead.
If it looked jumpy, head over to Kickstarter. Check out the funded projects. You'll see it there.
Eric's
It looks fine.
Okay.
It's just Paul.
All right.
Oh, the sound was ahead of the video. Let's see. Eric says he's got a question for us. Oh, he says, I'd be willing to get... Okay, so you guys were earlier talking about doing podcasts and getting descriptions for podcasts. Eric says, I'd be willing to give the descriptions a shot, but turnaround might be guaranteed at 24 hours.
Might.
Okay. Might not be guaranteed. I'm sure what he meant. Okay, well, there you go. Eric will help.
All right, Eric, we got to talk.
I will... Do you have his email? I'll copy it over here for you, Paul.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so cool. That was rocket ovens. So, of course, if you haven't had experience with rocket mass before, this isn't the same as a rocket mass heater because there's not nearly as much mass and you're concentrating the heat on one small area, right?
Right. And in fact, just before this, we released a few rocket oven videos, one of which is with Julia, and they're showing how much wood does it take to bake stuff in a rocket oven. And before that, we had a video that was kind of like, how fast does it get to 350? And what we did is we fired up this fancy pants expensive electric oven here. It took it like 11 minutes, and the rocket oven was hitting 9 minutes. I think Erica said she once did 7.5 minutes to get to 350. And so it's like, so okay, rocket oven heats up faster than an expensive electric oven. And then, but the video with Julia and Erica, I thought was really good. A lot of really salient points about ovens in general, and specifically rocket ovens. They burn very clean, much cleaner than you're going to get with electricity or with natural gas. If you consider in the pollution on the other side, and we have some numbers for a lot of that stuff. I think an electric I think that a rocket oven is superior to electric or natural gas in nearly every way.
Do you, how about flavor? Surely it's got to be better flavor coming out of a wood fired.
Well, this is a wide oven, so the flavor is going to be pretty much the same. I mean, a natural gas oven is a black oven, meaning that the exhaust from the natural gas is in the oven with your food.
Yeah.
So I kind of wonder about like with a natural gas oven, where does it get the air from? It must be vented to the kitchen, like so it could pull the oxygen from the kitchen in to keep the flames going for a natural gas oven.
Well, there's definitely, I mean, yeah, it's got to be sucking it in from the
Yeah.
I don't know, it's not vented, so it's not like it's sucking oxygen out from the outside. It's definitely getting oxygen from the inside somehow.
It's getting oxygen from within the kitchen.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, that kind of seems like there's a heat leak right there, isn't there?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. So the moral of the story is that you're saying, does it have better flavor? And it's like, that was actually covered for a little bit in the video with Julia. And that is that they said, well, could this be like a smoker? Because some people like that wood smoke flavored kind of thing. And then so in the video, then Erica says, well, you could do a little apple wood or a little alder and put it in like at the bottom, and then it would smoke inside the oven as you're doing this. But it's a wide oven, meaning that all of the exhaust from the rocket engine is not going to mix with the air that's inside the oven. They're kept separate.
That's got to do things for flavor. Like just that alone, because like you were saying, when you're heating up with gas, you're tasting, I mean, there's got to be gas flavors in there that you wouldn't probably recognize because you're cooking something great, but the heat's coming right onto it, right into the oven from the gas.
I remember Ernie Wisner talking about his double chamber cob oven. And so what you do is that you run a fire in the cob oven for 4 hours, a very hot fire with a lot of wood. And just, it's because it's the double chamber cob oven, then it puts out is really clean. But I got this great video showing flames coming out of the top of it because it's burning all the smoke before it goes up into the neighborhood. But the point is that after firing it up for 4 hours, then you can put your pizza in after 4 hours. And then he believed that the pizza, the bread, everything he baked in there tasted way better than anything that's baked in a conventional oven.
Cool.
So I'm not sure how much of that makes its way across to the rocket oven.
I had this last week, I've had a bit of a doomsday influence. Like every once in a while, the doomsday thing comes up with preppers. There's like the doomsday preppers.
The doomers. Yeah.
So like my main concern for like realistic doomsday stuff is financial, economic collapse, right? Like that's what
Okay.
I foresee as the most likely thing to affect me. However, have you ever heard of Robert Skosh?
Nope.
Okay, he's an author. He's a natural scientist, associate professor of natural science at what college is he at? Boston University. And so he's a not a paleontologist. Damn it, studies rocks. Come on,
A geologist.
geologist. Thank you. So anyway, he writes great books, but he was studying like the Sphinx in Egypt,
Okay.
and he sees all this weathering and stuff, and he starts studying. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and so he's talking about these coronal mass ejections that have hit the Earth, and like we're talking something giant hitting the sun, and then causing the sun to burst a coronal mass ejection onto the Earth. And what this does, he says it's happened quite a few times on Earth. And what it does is the equation that they or what they kind of came up with that really made it visual in my mind was imagine you're in a rainstorm, and this rainstorm's all over Earth, or a great deal of Earth, and instead of rain, every raindrop is lightning. Fucking crazy. So it's like he's like it's a massive amount of electricity bursting down to the ground and just burning shit up. And he's like, and we can see it. We see it lots of places. There's like glass in the earth from like sand getting hit by all this lightning. And he was saying that he believes, or it's very possible, that 7,500 years ago, the last ice age was ended by one of these. Like that's what ended the ice age, and possibly what ended or led a great deal of part to the end of dinosaurs. At any rate, so this thing happens and it wipes out a great deal of the population on Earth, and they have to retreat to caves to live. And so the reason they think this happened was they can reproduce it like a huge amount of electricity, what it would look like in the atmosphere, which is very similar to what you see in the Northern Lights, but way crazier is what you would see. And if you do that enough, you have enough energy, you get what look like these weird stick figures of humans or gods or whatever, and they all have these two dots around them. And you can reproduce it in a machine, and you can see these cool looking images. And anyway, they find throughout these caves all over the place these same images that they've drawn out of these like kind of stick figure looking things with these glowing orb things around them on the sides of them. And they're all over the world in different caves. Anyway, it was a fascinating documentary, and or not documentary, just a show with Joe Rogan. I recommend you guys go check it out. But now, whenever I see rocket stuff like rocket mass ovens, rocket mass mass heaters, rocket mass ovens, I get like, man, all right, so I got to build an Earthship or a Wafadi, right? I got to build something that I can live in the ground, and I can have all this wood like stocked up, and I wouldn't need to burn much, just enough to get by. And of course, it'd probably be really fucking warm, so I probably wouldn't need heat. Anyway, there you go.
You need a cave. You're looking for a cave.
I want a cave. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save myself from this fucking this mass ejection. That would be terrifying. If that shit happened, that would be terrifying. So anyway, I don't think I mean the likelihood of that happening in my lifetime is very slim, but economic collapse is definitely more likely. Even
How
so,
long, if that
for
happens,
scenario,
how long does it last?
He says it's he was saying imagine it would be like an earthquake where there's aftershocks, and so it could last for a week and then not show up again for another month. And so they actually have these build sites. They're finding all these archaeological sites where humans had buried shit. They were burying buildings with soil to protect them. And then like putting giant blocks and shit back into place that had been destroyed. Like the building got destroyed. It was some temple or whatever. They put the stuff back and then buried it so they wouldn't get hit again because they just kept coming.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that sounds a little off topic for today, but
yeah, but so both scenarios of my doomsday thoughts, rocket is a good solution to
okay.
in the know and have. So it's right on topic, Paul.
I kind of feel like the rocket oven. I mean, I've heard like only 50 people now say it's like a gateway drug to the rocket mass heater, and so I kind of feel like that's entirely possible. And right now, there's a lot of people like this is, as far as I know, it's totally legal in every backyard across the United States, with the exception of San Francisco. So apparently, you're not allowed to even have a barbecue in San Francisco.
What?
That's what somebody told me that. I don't know how true it is.
Why do people live there? It still baffles me.
No. I mean, okay. Why do you live there? San Francisco.
Tech industry is all I can think of.
Really?
The beaches are cold.
Yeah.
There's beautiful stuff south of San Diego or San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like it was only like 10 years ago that people that are gay are having a real rough go. And so it seems like if you go to San Francisco, it's way easier.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that would be a powerfully compelling reason.
I think that's all pretty much gone now, right? Like I'm trying to think of any major city that's anti-gay. There's no like anti-gay.
I don't think that there's a major city that's anti-gay. I would imagine there's going to be some small towns or backwoods counties or something where they're going to be like, horrible. But the other thing is like some people love being gay so much they're like what you might call flagrantly gay or flaming gay,
right?
And it's like I don't know. I think that if you're going to be that level of gay in a lot of cities, it's still going to be hard for people. But in San Francisco, it's totally smooth.
I think
be that gay.
I wonder if the idea of being that flaming in your face gay, it helps people, it puts it so in their face and in their life, in their mind that it helps people like be cool with gays rather than like, because if there's just little hints of it, you can kind of wash it out of your mind or kind of downplay it. But if it's right in your face, blatant, it's there. You kind of got to deal with it in your psyche. If you're having, if you're anti-gay or whatever, and you're having doubts about gay, if it's right in your face and it's blatant, obvious, you got to really think about it. And I don't know. I was just wondering if there's some strategy.
If you're saying somebody's flagrantly gay, like flaming gay. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, they're face to face with somebody who's anti-gay, they're homophobic or whatever. Then you're saying that it helps to repair because it helps to bring whatever that homophobic person's got going on, and helps to bring their shit out into the open.
Yeah, or it's like, okay, it's in front of you now, it's confronting you now. Now you have to deal with it. You can't just like walk away from it. You got to deal with it mentally now. Like, fucking figure it out, learn, mature and move on.
Because I was just kind of thinking, like, there's all sorts of people that are, they live lives in all kinds of different ways. Look at me and you. you and I are both a couple of fucking weirdos by the standards of nearly everybody in the United States.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, who the fuck are we to talk about somebody deviating from the norm?
Here's what I like is that I brought up chronomass ejection and living in caves, and you said we were way off topic.
Oh, yeah. Good point. Touche. Touche.
Oh, so back to rocket ovens. What it reminds me of, or I think like the gateway to rocket ovens, even would be those eggs, those egg barbecue things. You know what I'm talking about?
We got one here.
What are those called?
We just called it the egg.
Is it just called the egg? Anyway, it's like porcelain, isn't
insulated barbecue thing.
Is it insulated? I thought it was just porcelain, but it's insulated. Okay.
It's insulated. That's its big green egg. There's Eric telling us big green egg.
All right. So yeah, that's kind of what I was. So what would you say is the difference between a big green egg and rocket oven? Why is the rocket oven superior to the big green egg?
I don't think that. I mean, what's the highest temperature the big green egg can even get to? I don't know. Plus, the other thing is the big green egg. I think it runs on charcoal, doesn't it?
Let's see. Yeah, they're charcoal.
Experience, yeah. So, you know, when you go outside your house right now and you go out into your yard, how many bits of charcoal can you find?
I gotta make it.
Oh, you gotta make it.
Mm-hmm.
See, rocket oven. So you're asking me like, how is it different? How's it better? And it's like rocket oven. I could walk out and I can find sticks on the ground. And it's like, now granted, they might be soggy and I might not want to use them just yet. But I can also find sticks that are dry and I can use them right away. So, but it's like, I don't have to do anything. I'm ready to go, you know? And to me, that's the other thing too, is like a lot of people that say they're living off grid. And yet they got propane. I'm sorry, propane is not off grid. Propane is on grid. That's so.
Unless you sourced it yourself, like on your property, if you've put it in a natural gas well or whatever. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I think they're superior. And they probably weigh about the same. Those big green eggs are fucking heavy. At least the rocket oven. Well, I guess in both scenarios, you're probably going to be pushing the thing around. You're building one on a cart with wheels somehow, right?
Right. That's what our big green egg is, on a big cart with wheels.
What about rocket ovens?
We got our rocket oven is a cart on wheels, but Julia built one that's stationary.
And in the video, I think you were showing, where was that cob oven you were showing in there? Was that from I think I know where it's from.
I showed 2 or 3. No, I showed 3 cob ovens in
the one that zooms out and it's got like the black around it. Evan Folds, is that up at Evan Folds?
I'm thinking that the one that's got the black on it, that's going to be at our eco village up on Vancouver Island in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, real pretty, real beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then I know that there's one that I show, like I start talking about it, and it's got that cool wooden door with a horn handle, and I pull it open. That one's at Mountain Homestead in Coquille, Oregon. And then there's one where it's Ianto Evans himself standing in front of a rocket oven with all the smoke pouring out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's at Cobbville, which is right next door to Mountain Homestead.
Would it make sense to make a rocket smoker? Would that even make any sense?
You mean like the one that we have in our backyard? The one which you've been fed from a few times? That rocket smoker? Like that one? The rocket smoker that exists already in my backyard?
I don't remember getting fed from a rocket smoker.
We have a whole thread about that rocket smoker out at Permies.
So is the rocket
thinking, like, is it good to make a rocket smoker? Is there any purpose to make a rocket smoker? I just want to point out we've got a rocket smoker here, and there's a rocket smoker thread at Permies.
Okay.
And that you've been fed food from that rocket smoker.
Sweet. Well, I don't think I've ever not enjoyed the food at your place, so I hope it was good. But so how does it work? How does it? What's the difference between a rocket smoker and a rocket oven? Like, is there just a minute difference where you're doing something different with the flame to get it to smoke inside the chamber?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
basically
yeah,
all the difference is?
yeah. Definitely differences. So, uh, with the rocket smoker that we have, it's basically a rocket mass heater, but there's a hole in the top of the barrel.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, so now you get this very clean exhaust that shoots up out of the barrel, and you can go ahead and you can put a frying pan on it or something like that. It's part of DVD 4 of the Betterwood Heat 4 DVD set.
Okay.
Is the build, and there's even a bunch of video in there of us using it. But so what you could do is just put a frying pan over that hole and fry some eggs, which we did in the video. Look at that. There it is.
Okay. So
Right there. So you see the hole?
Yeah.
And the thing above it, that's your typical smoker, which also has a hole in the bottom of it.
And
Then what happens is like if you want to use it as a smoker, then we've got a bunch of dried apple wood nearby, and you just kind of sneak it in there between the barrel and the smoker.
right in here.
Right in there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so then when you sneak that apple wood in there, then it starts to smoke the apple wood, because of course what's coming out of the J tube is quite clear.
So I guess to clarify my question does it make sense to have a rocket smoker that is purely functional just to be a smoker? Because it seems to me like this system is like we want a rocket oven or a rocket mass heater, and we'll have this little add-on to make it also a smoker if we ever want to smoke something.
I kind of feel like in the case of the rocket oven, if you're using it outdoors, then go ahead and exactly like what Erica said, take some of that apple wood and just put it in the bottom of the oven, and it'll smoke. And then, you don't need very much, and you effectively have a smoker. Ta-da! Done.
But you're not cooking it with low temperature. You're cooking it with high temperature and adding smoke to a smoke flavor to the food.
Yeah, but smoking isn't done at a particularly high temperature.
Exactly. Smoking's done at a low temperature, very low temperature.
Right. So I don't see what. So basically, the thing is that if you put a couple of twigs at the bottom of your rocket oven, that's where the hottest part is hitting the. So the J tube ends just below the bottom of the oven, right?
Right.
And so now it's going to heat that spot. It might even get it, to glow a little bit.
Yeah.
Then you got a couple of twigs kind of sitting on top of that. It's going to get awful smoky.
Right. Okay.
And then just don't run the oven very hot. Run it pretty cool. That's it.
All right. Cool. So, would you say that's a pretty good getting the rocket oven DVDs? That's going to be a pretty good lead up to if I wanted to build a smoker. Like after doing the rocket oven thing, I'm going to be able to figure out how a smoker would fit in pretty easy.
I think that it's like it's going to be a matter of personal choice. Some people are going to like use the rocket oven as a smoker sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Other people might build a rocket oven in their house, in which case, not a good idea to use it as a smoker. Not a good idea to use anything as a smoker inside your house. The next thing is that it's kind of like, okay, you could go ahead and build some designs to do a rocket smoker that are, different. But the one that we have out back, it runs at a certain temperature to try to do it. It can be used for a whole bunch of different things, including a smoker. I think it does a really good job as a smoker. You can kind of, there's a paddle that goes over that hole, so you can kind of control the temperature. And then there's the amount of smoke that goes up inside of it based upon how much wood you put over the little hole. And so, I don't know, I kind of feel like it works really good as a smoker. But you do have to kind of, keep the burn going to keep the temperature, fairly constant. But you don't need much burn because, it's a fairly low temp kind of thing.
All right, cool.
It depends. The answer is it depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Now I think, okay, we're gonna talk about. You want to move on to some of the other topics, and it's kind of like, okay, we just finished our peasant PDC, and we just started our homesteaders PDC for scientists and engineers. And I got to tell you that, wow, these are scientists and engineers. Yeah. And the questions they ask are at an extremely high level. And it's like the microscope is getting a workout. The stuff about relationships, the stuff about like, let's break things down chemically. There's anyway, the conversations are very advanced, which has been really nice.
Yeah. Most PDCs are fairly high level. Right?
So we had Alan Booker on the Smackdown at one point, and I think people just really don't appreciate it. So anyway, all the feedback I've had from all the students has been extremely positive. So they're coming with very high expectations, and those expectations are being exceeded dramatically.
Awesome.
So they are extremely impressed, and so we're just a couple of days into this PDC for scientists and engineers, and I think it's going extremely well. Now,
you're calling it PDC for scientists and engineers. What was the name of it before? Wasn't it something else?
It's the Homesteaders PDC.
Okay.
And we decided that this year it's going to have a focus for scientists and engineers.
I gotcha.
And when we say homesteaders, it's kind of like we're going to turn the volume up on properties that are 2 to 200 acres, and turn the volume down on broadacre and urban.
Right.
And so, I firmly believe that the solution to most problems come with permaculture and homesteading. And so it's like you got to have a few acres.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the scientists and engineers angle, like raising the bar, Alan's making it very clear that we are not going to cater to the lowest common denominator. But even if you did with this group, because these people all knew what they were getting into, and they came specifically because they wanted something that was, a higher bar.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, it's not like most PDCs where most people who show up are kind of like they were told they had to read this material before coming, and they still haven't quite figured out how to spell permaculture.
Right.
And they're kind of along for the ride, whatever. And it's like, wow, this one's really good.
It's definitely needed in permaculture. The scientific community backing permaculture is huge for permaculture, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of naysayers, especially farmers that are used to monocropping, big production stuff. They need a kick in the pants from scientists saying, no, yeah, what they're doing is way better. Yeah. So on that same kind of level of getting into the scientific kind of stuff, we have right now bug sprayers going around, and they're spraying for bugs, getting around those houses, getting around the fields, and killing all them bugs, those annoying things that crawl all over the place.
Is it a county thing, or is it just your neighbors?
It's neighbors that are like, yeah, they're starting to get ants in our house and shit, so please spray around the house. Like they're spraying around the house. And then they're spraying, and they're like, okay, yeah, and also do the driveway because I don't want ants on my driveway or whatever. That's what they're spraying right now is homes, from what I've seen so far. I haven't seen in our area, and actually in our area, I haven't seen a lot of massive spraying. Like, I've never seen a crop plane go around and spraying crops in the valley here. So that's great to see. But you do see trucks driving around spraying in the fields, and you're just hoping, like, please, I hope that's compost tea, even though it's
You know
not.
it's not.
Yeah. Uh, so so that hasn't started up quite yet. What I'm seeing right now is houses, people spraying around the house. So, you're looking for answers. One big answer is diatomaceous earth, and you've got an article all over on Rich Soil that goes pretty in depth into diatomaceous earth. One thing I've seen recently is diatomaceous earth as a dietary supplement. People are taking this shit orally, which I think is a bad idea. But
No, 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 no.
you think that's a
No.
good idea to
In
swallow
fact, dude,
diatomaceous
you're already fucking eating fuck tons of diatomaceous earth already.
in the plants, but to take it in a
No, no, no,
supplement?
no, no. It's in anytime you're eating grain, you're eating a bunch of diatomaceous earth.
Okay. That's not helping the argument if it's good to eat that shit. I don't know. I like diatomaceous earth. I think it's a great way it's great if you're having a problem to use on your crops. But I can't picture ingesting that in pills. I can't picture, like, I need to swallow a tablespoon of this stuff or whatever.
So I've eaten 2 cups of it directly. And so what I would do is like once a day I would put in like 2 tablespoons of diatomaceous earth into juice and stir it in and drink it. I got to tell you, it makes the juice taste weird, but I mean, it makes the juice taste powdery, which doesn't make any sense, but powdery is what it was.
Hmm.
All right. So, uh, um, the thing is that there are different grades of diatomaceous earth. You got to be careful about that, but there is food grade diatomaceous earth.
Right.
And so then that's the stuff that you want to be ingesting, and it's not only is it safe, but you wanna. There's reasons. There's a bunch of reasons. There's a
That's
bunch
what
of
I want to hear. What's the reason? Because when I think of, like, my gut fauna, the bugs in my gut, I
yeah.
feel like I kind of want those there. Like, they probably have a purpose.
So the big thing is silica. That's the diatomaceous earth, and that's going the thing. That's I mean, first of all, there's that. There's a lot of farmers that claim that feeding their animals diatomaceous earth helps to control parasites,
Hmm.
intestinal parasites, and I'm not sure how true that is. They think it works. Maybe it does. I I don't follow how, but okay. Um, but there's people that are like big on, like, I want to live a year, and so those people they will ingest diatomaceous earth maybe even twice a day. They believe that silica is one of the big building blocks of the human body, and they believe that I want to make sure my body has plenty of silica for building blocks to build a long-lasting body for all that repair that it's constantly doing. A lot of people have reported that when they consume vast quantities of diatomaceous earth on a regular basis, that their hair becomes thicker, longer, stronger, their fingernails become stronger and healthier. Some people even believe that their skin quality is dramatically improved. Just the reports across the board are general improved health. As with almost anything, there could be downsides that we're not aware of. We do have a physician on here, but I'm not sure she's like, got all the lowdown on diatomaceous earth or not. But anyway, the next thing is like, okay, bugs, they have an exoskeleton. And if they get diatomaceous earth on them, then it acts as a bit of an abrasive. And so it kind of scrapes off that waxy coating that's on the outside of the exoskeleton. And then they kind of turn into little bug jerky inside their little exoskeletons. They dry out, they die. But there's also some reports that the little bits of diatomaceous earth on their scale is sharp, and so it gets caught between the joints of their exoskeleton and cuts them up. But I've seen people do experiments, and they'll put bugs in a mason jar with diatomaceous earth, and that bug will be dead in like 10 seconds. So our doctor says that she has eaten diatomaceous earth. So might be like a endorsement junior.
I have a hard time eating things that kills other things. Besides predators are fine, but for like chemical or chemicals, mostly chemicals, but anything that's like, our job is to kill other things, and we eat it all the time. Like there's preservatives and all kinds of shit, and there's stuff we eat all the time that kills. Like its whole job is to kill shit. But I try to avoid that usually.
All right. So used to be that when I was like 20, when I was like 17 to 20, something running there, for many, many years, I worked the pea and wheat harvests. And for a while, I was driving wheat truck. And so then I get a big load of wheat from the combine, and I go over to the mill, and then my bed would lift up, and then the wheat would pour out of the back into this thing where it would then be taken up into the silos and stuff like that. So then, we're lifting up my bed, and we're waiting for the wheat to start pouring out, and there's this old dude that's got to be like 98 or something, and he's got a cigarette plugged into his face all the time. And there's this barrel right next to where I dump, and then he reaches over every once in a while, and he puts a scoop into this pink stuff in the barrel and pitches it in. I said, well, what is that? Poison. Or the bugs. So of course there's fuck tons of grasshoppers all over the place, and they're jumping into the wheat and everything, and there's a bunch of grasshoppers pouring out of the wheat that I just brought over. How they got in there, I don't know, but of course they think wheat is tasty, so they would just put this pink poison in an attempt to kill all the grasshoppers, which are probably getting smashed anyway. But later, years later, what they would do is they would replace that with diatomaceous earth. Because for human beings, not only is it edible, but it's super good for you. And then at the same time, if bugs get it on their exoskeleton, it scrapes off their waxy coating, and they turn to bug jerky and die. And so it's kind of like, I think that's way better than the poison.
Oh yeah, I'm not doubting. I'm saying if I had the choice of eating something without poison or diatomaceous earth, or eating something with diatomaceous earth and without poison, I'm going to choose the thing that has nothing on it. But You're saying it would be better to eat the diatomaceous earth one, or it's better than poison?
I think that I'm going to encourage you and everybody else to go ahead and eat diatomaceous earth regardless. Like supplement your diet right now with diatomaceous earth. If nothing else, see what it does for you. But I'm going to say that I've got a lot of study in on this, and I'm going to say that it's not just good for you; it's really good for you. And now, granted, I don't think anybody that our ancestral mankind was like out there with handfuls of diatomaceous earth shoving it in their pie hole. And even more than that, I'm going to say that like instinct is like, don't put this in your fucking mouth. It doesn't belong there. And so it's kind of like, but at the same time, I do know enough about this to give my unprofessional opinion. And I'm not a physician. I'm not a nutritionist. None of that stuff.
Right.
But I do think, from my limited opinion, my limited knowledge, I'm going to say that I think not only should you, but I would encourage it. At the very least, try it for a month. See if elements of your health are not just generally improved.
All
and
right.
if that is the case, then doesn't it seem like there's something to this?
Right.
Now, the trick is you got to make sure to get something that has a low level of crystallized silica. And so on that page that you had up, I have links to the stuff that has like less than 1% crystallized silica. And that's an important thing.
How often are you ingesting this stuff?
Every time that you eat commercial grain, you're ingesting some. I once went like a month where I ended up eating like 2 cups of diatomaceous earth, food grade diatomaceous earth with a low silica component.
2 cups over that month?
With a low crystalline silica component. It was probably 2 cups over 1 month, spread out over 1 month. Yeah.
Okay.
So now here you can see diatoms under a microscope that are still alive. And then what we're eating is the fossilized, what we're talking about is the fossilized remains of diatoms. So,
and they break up into fine little sharp, I mean, they're, to a bug, it's like a super sharp like knife or needles. And the bug's like breathing it in, and it gets into their skin or under their, it's getting into like the cracks of their exoskeleton basically, and like stabbing them kind of.
yeah, well, that's one of the theories. I think that the more, I think that the more accurate theory, and it's like there are 2 schools of thought. One is that it's getting between the joints of their exoskeleton and cutting them up. That's one theory. Mm-hmm. The other theory is that it's scraping off their waxy coating on the outside, and then once that happens, then they can't stay moist on the inside. They dry out.
So they'd have to be moving in the diatomaceous earth for that to happen, right? For it to scrape off of them, something off of them, because it's not. Yeah. You're not saying it's like an acid, which like has.
I am going to say
salt on a worm or something.
It is a desiccant. So it's like not only is it abrasive, but it's also desiccant. So it's absorbing moisture from the air. So so then the other thing is like, you know,
starving them.
Most bugs, they require on moisture in the air in order to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're kind of like in their immediate vicinity, taking all that away, and possibly even exposing their innards to the air.
So when you're taking this, are you taking in like a pill capsules, or are you like?
No, I had a container full of the actual powder, and I was stirring it into juice, and I was drinking it with juice.
Okay, so we've talked about ingesting it ourselves, ingesting it into our livestock. What other uses is there for diatomaceous earth?
Okay, so like, let's suppose that, well, a common one is for flea control. I have a huge article about flea control. And so in fact, when I first met Jocelyn, she had a cat and she had fleas in her house. Not very many, but some. And so then we did these techniques and we beat the fleas. I first started using it for flea control is that I was in a community house And you know, and it's one of those things where it's like, boy, it sure is great to live with really intelligent people, and it sure is miserable to live with dumb fucks. And so my son had a ferret, and the ferret got fleas. And so then people in the house started to freak out because they thought they were going to get the plague and die. And it's like just didn't matter how much proof in the world there was that they're not going to get the plague and die. But while I was away for a day, one of them hired a bug spray guy to come by and hose the whole house down with toxic. So the inside of my house.
You broke up there a little bit. They hired a bug spray guy to come and do what?
And the side of the house with toxic gas. So where I live was sprayed with poisons because dumb fucks thought they were going to die of the plague. And I mean, like, the number of fleas was really small. Like the problem, there was a problem and it needed to be dealt with. And it's like, but that's another thing too, though, is it's kind of like the life cycle of the flea is 4 weeks. And so it's kind of like, all right, so there's fleas now. So you put out your diatomaceous earth, and then new eggs hatch. So new fleas pop out. And it's like, damn, all right, well, let's deal with it. Anyway, the thing is that it was not an infestation. It was a couple of fleas. It was very minor, but panic went through the house with this one woman kind of leading the charge of basically stating over and over and over again, everybody in the house is going to die of the plague. So the plague was carried by fleas centuries ago, and you know, it was rats and fleas, and that's kind of part of it. Is that in order for a human being to get the plague, they have to get it from a flea, which got the plague from a rat that was carrying the plague. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, so we had a ferret that did not have the plague, and so so basically, the plague still exists. It was something like, I think that it's like 4 people a year die of the plague. And those are people that are living out in, they're not living there, they're working out in deserts, studying the plague.
Right.
You know, and it's like, because they found these places where there are rodents that still have the plague, and they're studying it. And they you know, they get bit by the fleas or whatever, and so they get the plague and they die. And it's like, but it's you know, 4 people a year. That's extremely rare. But the thing is that none of these people contracted the plague from fleas inside of a home. I mean, it's like they would have to. I mean, I think it's ground squirrels or gophers or something that had the plague that these people were studying. So those animals have the plague. And then it was transmitted to the humans through fleas. And so it's like, so basically in my article, I point out that for somebody to get the plague, the probability of somebody getting the plague from a flea inside of your home is right up there with that same person being elected president of the United States and being struck by lightning during their inauguration speech.
Right, right.
That's the probability of somebody getting the plague from a flea inside their home.
All right. So as far as plants go, so people use diatomaceous earth on their plants. They spread it on the plants. When is I imagine there's 2 different types of plants you're dealing with diatomaceous earth. It's going to be annuals and perennials, and there's going to be different times you apply diatomaceous earth for each. Definitely. So as far as perennials go, our favorite plants and trees, when's a good time for diatomaceous earth? Is it a preventative measure, or are you putting it on after you have a problem, or both?
So another article I have out at Rich Soil is called Ants and Aphids on My Apple Tree. And my first thought so basically what's happening is the ants are farming the aphids. And so if I can get rid of the ants, then the wildlife in the area will get rid of the aphids, so ladybugs. So what happens, the ladybug comes to eat the aphids, and the ants will chase off the ladybug. And so what I want to do is just get rid of the ants. That'll take care of the aphids. So I started off putting some diatomaceous earth down, and it wasn't effective. So I tried a bunch of other things, and in the end, what I did was I put down like 10 times more diatomaceous earth, and that worked. And so I think that the first thing is don't be bashful. Put down a lot. Put down lots and lots and lots. The next thing is that when it gets wet, it stops being effective. And so therefore, you're going to be putting it down probably in the summertime, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, after morning dew is passed. And it's like, it works pretty quickly, but then as soon as night rolls around and things dew up again, it doesn't work anymore. So then you're gonna put it out again the next day. But I just did one application and that did the job. The ants were done.
Now we talk about sourcing everything as locally as possible. Where are you sourcing diatomaceous earth? How are you getting that?
Okay, so there's the stuff that I end up getting these days comes from a mine in Idaho. Mm-hmm. But really, follow the links that are on my Rich Soil page about diatomaceous earth, because you got to get stuff that's food grade and has a crystalline silica of less than 1%. Because a lot of food grade stuff has a crystalline silica of 3%, and you want to not get too much of that crystalline silica.
Where does this stuff come from? So they're a mine, and they're mining like a quarry, or are they mining for something else and they happen to find diatomaceous earth? Or how, you know?
What a great question. Fuck if I know.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious where it comes from, where it's sourced.
I know that I've talked to the guy that actually mines it in Idaho. You know, it's a big ass mine. they dig it up and they put it in bags and they put it on semi trucks. You know?
Okay, I was wondering if it was like a byproduct of something, like if it's a rock quarry and then some of these rocks are coated with this shit and we just bash the rocks off and harvest it that way. Or
my impression is that it's like a layer that's like 15 feet thick
in the earth
of just solid diatomaceous earth, and then they it's been compressed, so as they dig it out they got to powder re-powderize it, and then it goes from there. Now I think one thing is like every once in a while somebody loses their shit about breathing it in, and it's like don't breathe in flour, don't breathe in talcum powder, when you go to empty your vacuum cleaner bag, don't be breathing that in.
There's a reason, like I imagine it's it'd have a similar effect of any kind of powder, but especially like those people that do coke, they're snorting that in and like rots out their sinus cavities. But any kind of powder will do that. You just see a lot with cokeheads because they're doing a lot of that.
I don't know.
But
well, it's just kind of weird how, and I kind of wonder, like, the people that are like, losing their shit over this are they being paid by the insecticide companies? So I know a guy who had a web page for selling diatomaceous earth. Like he was providing the product.
Yeah.
Diatomaceous earth. The FDA contacted him and said, cease and desist. For every day that ad stands, you have to pay a $10,000 a day fine.
Was it because of some claim he was putting in the ad?
Yeah. That's exactly it. And so it's like, here's food grade diatomaceous earth. You can eat it and you can sprinkle it on bugs, and the bugs die.
Yeah.
So the fact that the problem was that he's putting the product into a package and then he's selling it. And the message on the internet is you can eat it and you can sprinkle it on bugs. Now, the FDA told him it's totally cool for you to take this stuff and say, you can eat it. And then it's totally okay to take the exact same stuff and say, you can sprinkle it on bugs and they die.
But doing it both together.
You are not allowed to let people know that it's the same product.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking that the FDA doesn't really give a shit, but insecticide companies do give a shit. They don't want you buying this stuff that can't be patented. They don't want you to know about diatomaceous earth, that it's edible and you could use it as an insecticide.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, because that would fuck up their profits. And so they're the ones that are pushing the FDA to fuck with this guy.
You know, it wasn't that you were saying like, because I know this happens with body care product companies a lot. And it's really hard for startup body care product companies to market their things, like especially if there's herbs involved, because you want to say on it like cures whatever, and that's like a fuck no. You don't say that. You pay us money. You can't say it cures something, or you can't say it. You know, you don't even say what it helps. You just gotta name it whatever, call it some funky name, and then maybe they can go look that up somewhere. But you will not put that on your label. You're not advertise that this is for some kind of impediment, unless you go through all this shit, the FDA, and you get everything tested and put in all the side effects. You got to go through that testing. You know, you got to spend a couple $1,000,000 at least to get your lip balm out there. So I imagine I could very much see something like that happening with diatomaceous earth, and someone saying, this is a great product, it does these things, and the FDA saying, fuck, it does. You're not saying that. Not without some money and some testing.
Well, there's the cordyceps fungus that Paul Stamets has been trying to get onto the market for like ever. Mm-hmm. And they have not only have they given him death threats, but they have actually literally tried to kill him several times. But the thing about the cordyceps fungus is that ants are like, oh man, have you eaten this stuff? Oh wow, this is delicious. Here, try it. This is great. Oh, I can't get enough of it. You know, we got to take this to the queen. She's gonna totally love this. Take it to the queen. This is the best. This is like ice cream and candy mixed up. It is great. And so then, but then of course what happens is that you eat it, then eventually the fungus spreads throughout the ant or whatever bug it is that's eating it. And then it's kind of an odd thing. First they have this sensation to crawl up someplace very high, and then the fruiting body of the fungus pops out of their head and spreads spores out from very high.
It reminds me of those hair snakes. Have you seen those? Okay, so hair snakes are they lay their eggs where something would eat them. A grasshopper eats them. Okay. So they're on the grass or whatever, and a grasshopper's eating the grass. It gets this egg, and what it does is it does something to their brain or first it eats their like internal organs, and then it does something to their brain that makes the grasshopper go to water, and then die in the water, because that's where they live. These hair snakes live.
Okay, I think I've seen one of these before. I didn't know they were called hair snakes. I did hear that they were called a hair something, but I saw one in a pond once, and it was like, oh, what the fuck is that? That is a creepy looking thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, the thing is that if you just put a little dish of cordyceps fungus out, like let's say you've got problems with ants in your house, and then the ants eat this little bit of cordyceps fungus. First thing you want to do is share it with all their friends and the queen. And then next thing you know, they're all gone. And so, what would that do? So like you just explained, you started this segment talking about how in your neighborhood, all your neighbors are spraying for bugs.
Mm-hmm.
So then the insecticide company is like going ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Ow!
Yeah.
And it's like, how do they feel about the cordyceps fungus? You know, something that can't be patented because it's existed for thousands of years. I'm just going to guess that they're against it.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. So, I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we are. I really wanted to get into it. Diatomaceous earth killing these bugs, but is it killing beneficial bugs?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It totally does. That's the downside. It's a general insecticide. I mean, basically, it just scratches the wax off of anything with an exoskeleton.
Right.
So it's just dangerous as hell if you've got an exoskeleton.
So that's why I'm worried about ingesting it, because there's like healthy things in my guts that I want.
Yeah, but those things don't have an exoskeleton.
They don't? That's why I'm curious.
No.
Okay. Didn't know.
No. No. What do you think is in your gut that has an exoskeleton?
I don't know. I
How
feel
did the
like
exoskeleton survive all your stomach acids?
well, who knows, man? I feel like there's shitloads of bacteria in your gut, like tons of different kinds.
Bacteria doesn't have an exoskeleton,
and none of them have exoskeletons.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So why even eat it? Just in case something that does have an exoskeleton.
It's just kind of like there's those farmers that are saying they're feeding their livestock diatomaceous earth, and they're saying like, oh, it's cleaning out all those intestinal parasites.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like, how is it doing that? I don't understand how that would even work. But they think it works. Maybe it does. I don't think it does, but maybe it does.
Right.
But the important thing is that if you eat it, once you wet it, it's no longer effective at hurting anything with an exoskeleton.
Yeah.
And so, but you eat it, it's the silicone content, the high silicone content that's good for you.
All right. Cool.
Silica. I'm sorry. It's the high silica content. That's good.
All right, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the show. We have a live audience. I'd like to tell this to everybody during every episode. There's a live audience that we talk to. You probably heard us talking about them and to them during this show. If you support Paul Wheaton's Patreon, or if you're a Thrive-Thru member, there's a club called Permaculture Smackdown. You can get the link to get notifications on when the next episode is and join in on the live conversation. Got anything you want to close with, Paul?
Support my Kickstarter, damn it!
I'm excited to see the video. I think that it is a great gateway into rocket mass, something that I think everybody should be really interested in. So thank you, Paul, for putting that out there.
I think there's a lot of people that are thinking they can't do a rocket mass heater because it's probably violating some law or something, but a rocket oven is something that they can all do.
This is my barbecue. Fuck off, government.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday at 2. Bye-bye.
Bye.